Greetings, coaches, and welcome to this edition of Give and Go Live. My name is David Newbury, and I'm joined by my colleague Ian Barker. Hello, Ian.
Hello, David, and hello, coaches.
Ian, we're going to have a slight switch on emphasis. We're now going to a full game, 9 versus 9, looking at activities, switching the point of attack. We're going to look at the video first and then go to the animations.
The ability of a team to move the ball quickly from one side of the field to another is a tremendous advantage, particularly when faced with a well-organized and resolute defense. Played on a 9v9 field, use cones to create an attacking zone down both sides of the field, extending from the goalpost to the halfway line. Only after an attacker has received or dribbled the ball into the wide zone can a defender enter the same space. Play a regular game with only attackers permitted to enter the wide zones at first. The objective for the attacking team is to move the ball at pace and attempt to pass the ball into the wide zone to exploit time and space. A goal can only be scored if the ball has visited both wide zones consecutively. This condition forces the players to switch play. Help the players to recognize when a switch of play is available. Cues such as a defense playing high pressure on one side of the field and an attacking overload developing on the weak side provide some indication that a switch of play may be possible.
Please visit quickgoal.com for all your equipment needs.
So Ian, we've seen the video. Now let's talk about the animation, and we'll talk firstly about the setup of the first sequence. You can see I've used some red lines to indicate markers or cones that you would put down to create those wide zones. We saw the team in white attacking in this direction in the video, with these spaces in wide positions being the target area. In order for a player or a team to go to goal, they must go consecutively from one area, one wide area, to the other area, using the players in the middle to change the point of attack and switch play. The players in white, in this case defending, so we now have possession with the team in blue, and the goalkeeper is throwing the ball out wide into the wide zone for the number 2 right fullback for blue to enter. Once that player has received the ball, and not before, the white player then can go into that zone. You can certainly relax those rules as the game goes on, but to begin with, give the players moving into those wide areas as much time as possible to build up the attack. Ian.
Thank you, David. I thought the video was actually very strong, so it's nice to see a good, clear video. So here we have created these areas, zones, channels, whatever you want to call them. There are some schools of thought that in soccer, in training, you'd never use zones or channels. I think that's a nonsense. I think they serve a really good purpose at different times. So I'm a big fan of using some of these zonal type conditions. I like the diamond shape here because there's very good width given to the team in possession in the back third of the team. And so if we want to encourage playing out the back, this will certainly help with that. And then we've got this extreme width in the final attacking third, and hopefully we can get some situations where players might get one-on-one and isolated out there. So I think that's a really good idea. Certainly keeping the defending team restricted to the center zone initially will give the attacking team added incentive to get into the wide space. So again, the condition helps us create some realistic scenarios. If and when the white team start to come out because the ball has been played there and the game condition says the whites can press out, where will the whites now be thinner? They'll be thinner in the center of the field. So sometimes we play wide to actually go back to central. So that could be an important consideration here. We're not going wide just to stay wide. We're going wide to effect movement and change on the defenders, which may indeed lead us to come back to the center and go to goal, or come back to the center and then hopefully switch out the other side, because switching the point of attack would be a nice feature here. And given that our central players are probably less likely to be running out into the wide spaces, they become our pivot players, and the people getting into these wide spaces will be our 2 and our 7, possibly our 3 and an 11. So let's make sure we've got the right players positioned into the right aspects of the activity.
So we're now going to follow the play from the fullback, number 2, to playing wide now to the number 7. Number 7 has moved into the space as well. And correspondingly, the white team have sent now 2 defenders in. So we've got a 2 for 2 in the wide areas. And what that's doing now is making this space in the middle a little less congested, and a little bit more space for the number 4, the number 6, and the number 10 now to find space going forward or inside. And the whites have done pretty well here. They've created a stop. And as we'll see in the next diagram, now having been to the right-hand side of the field, the blue team now has to get it to the left-hand side of the field in order to be able to go to goal. Ian.
So obviously we're in a still scenario here, but let's look at this player. This number 11, in an ideal world, we'd love to have them maybe out here by the coach, because this player is no threat because we have the ball. Why would the number 11 come in here? It's because he or she is not completely confident that these two can handle it. So as you get to a greater degree of comfort level in and around possession, your players off the ball can start to stretch the field more. We didn't put movement arrows in here, but I like the idea of this number 9 clearing out, kind of like I'd like to see this 11 clear out, and maybe the number 10 checking too. So you're looking for movement above and beyond the local. So this is the local, and then this is the global. So think local and then look global, if you will. Out here, we have the opportunity for overlaps, give and go. So we have all the combination on this wing space with a view to get to here. However, we are thinking about the idea of bringing all the whites into the space and then switching back against the grain. The support angles and the support distances need to be addressed by the coach, because if the support is too close, it helps the defenders. It's easier for them to defend. If the lines between the teams of players are very flat and there's no angle, it becomes much easier to defend. So what you're looking for is relative spacing and angles off of the players in possession to put the greatest stress on the defenders.
So in our third sequence, we now see the switch. A couple of things to point out here. As coaches, we most likely would love to have the opportunity for the number 7 to be able to turn and play high to the number 10 or 9. But we also need to recognize the value of the deeper players, certainly the goalkeeper, the number 4, and in this case, the number 6, in order to be able to make that switch happen as well. So I certainly spend a lot of time talking to my younger players about the value of the number 4 and the number 1 in particular, because they're more likely than not to be under extreme pressure as the number 6, number 9, or number 10 are. So Ian, we've seen the pass now inside. The 6 has played a very nice pass back to number 4. That pass has given the 3 and the 11 the opportunity to get wide, so gives them a little bit more time to get into attacking mode, and now we've been seeing the switch across the field and up the line to now create a very high attacking option for the blue team.
Yeah, so some things I kind of like here. You see this movement of the 3 into the wide space, the movement of the 11 into the wide space. So players moving in anticipation of the switch. So well done to those players. It's actually the same as we talk to defenders. You close up ground on the player you want to put pressure on as the ball is traveling. You don't wait until the ball has got there. So here we see these attackers traveling to the space as the ball is being played. So well done to them. What I think we've captured here quite nicely is we've got defenders pressing around the ball, and then we've got these 3 defenders dropping off. So the effective possession of the Blues has kind of really messed up the white defending team. So this is possibly the ball can go in here. And certainly as we show, this is logical and this is logical. So the key is the more we move the ball, the more we move the opponent, and then eventually space will be created. At the highest levels, you have to move the ball a lot more to unsettle a defense. But at the youth level, entry level, grassroots level, if the possession team can move the ball quite effectively, they're probably going to open up a space really quite quickly. I always like in our training ideas to have the ability to ramp up the degree of challenge or make the challenge a little bit less. So take in some of these ideas of reducing the number of defenders, changing the space of the zones, putting in touch conditions. If you find that your theme is not being challenged, you want to raise the level, and occasionally maybe you pitch it at too high a level, and so you have to bring it down a little bit. But I think the diagrams in the video here support a really nice group of ideas in terms of method and content.
Well, thank you, Ian, and thank you, coaches, for joining us on this edition of Give and Go Live.